Shabbat Shalom, friends.
Shabbat Shalom.
Welcome everyone here gathered here in the sanctuary this Shabbat, as well as those joining us on the live stream. And I want to begin with a kavanah, an intention. We enter this sanctuary to welcome Shabbat. Within these walls, we sit surrounded by numberless generations. Our ancestors built the synagogue as a visible sign of God's presence in their midst, a beacon of truth, love, and justice for all humanity. Its presence guided our ancestors to live lives of righteousness, holding up to them a vision of their truest selves. Now we, in our turn, come into this sanctuary to affirm the sacredness of our lives. May we enter this place in peace. May holiness wrap around us as we cross its threshold. Weariness, doubt, the flaws within our human hearts, the harshness of the weak, may these drop away at the door. In the brightness of Shabbat, let peace settle upon us as we lift our hearts in prayer. Please join me on page 189 as we begin with words of peace. Shalom Aleichem. Shalom. Shalom Aleichem. Shalom. We continue welcoming Shabbat as we light our Shabbat candles together. It's my pleasure to call upon Ruth Ostrower, who will lead us in one of the readings on page 20 and 21 and kindle the lights for us here in the sanctuary.
We read responsively at the bottom of page 20. On this day we would see the world in a new light. On this day we would add new spirit to our lives.
On this day we would take us a new time of peace. We would rest from desire for gain, ambition for things.
We would raise our eyes to look beyond time and space toward eternity. Oh, may we come to see the world in a new light.
As it is written, let new light shine upon Zion, and may it be our blessing to see its splendor.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu b'hadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Baruch atah 24. We continue responsively on page 27 with reading Dalet. Larry, would you lead us there?
Erev Shabbat. Who am I that you should wish to spend the day with me? I tried my strengths, cook, move dust, casually insensitive to all the songs reminding me that she, the queen, the diamond, ruby, emerald, glow tiara, should come to grace my table.
She comes no matter how the week was spent, and joy over silliness, that she comes, not her host, laying a linen flowered tablecloth that is white, that is all the colors of the rainbow.
Come, my Shabbat queen, embodiment of worlds to be. Your gracious kindness is our breath of life, and though we once, twice, all too often, fail to say how beautiful your cape, how lovely your hair, your Shekhinah eyes, we will not always be so lax, apathetic to your grace, your presence.
Touch us again this week with your most unique love's tenderness, and we shall sing to you our songs and dance our dances in your honor, and sigh for you our sighs of longing, peace, and hope. continue on page 34 with the words of How Can I Sing? Frank, would you lead us there?
How can I sing of day and night when it's God who formed them?
How can I sing of heaven and earth when it is God who decreed them?
How can I sing of mountains and hills when it's God who planted them?
How can I sing of seas and deserts when it is God who begot them?
And how can I sing of earth and its fullness when it's God who made them be?
I shall sing to God who fashioned all. It is beyond all. It is to God I shall sing. We rise together for the words of Baruch. We pray together in the English of the words of Yotzer on page 37. Zach, would you lead us at the top of the page, reading Aleph?
We praise the eternal God, whose presence fills creation. Your word brings on the evening twilight. You open the gates of dawn with wisdom, and with foresight you make times pass and seasons change.
Your plan sets the course of stars in the sky, creating day and night, turning light into darkness and darkness into light.
You make the day fade away and bring on the night, separating day and night. You rule the hosts of heaven.
We praise the Eternal One, who brings on the evening twilight. And we continue in the English of Ahavat Olam on page 38. Lena, would you lead us there?
Unending is your love for your people, the house of Israel. Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts have you taught us.
Therefore, eternal God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and rejoice in your Torah and mitzvot forever.
Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life and the length of our days.
Your
Your love shall never depart from our hearts. We praise you, the Eternal One, who loves your people of Israel. The words of Shema and Ve'ahavta on page 40 as we rise in body or in spirit. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, seated. A reading for Geulah, or words of redemption. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth. The high heavens declare your glory, may earth reveal your justice and your love. From bondage in Egypt we are delivered. At Sinai we bound ourselves to your way. Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces. Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed. Let us continue to work for that day when the nations will be one and at peace. Then we will rejoice as our ancestors did, singing these words on the shores of the sea. Page 44. As you redeemed Israel and saved us from arms stronger than our own, may you redeem all those who are still oppressed and persecuted. Baruch atah Adonai Ga'al Yisrael. We praise you, Eternal One, who is the Redeemer of Israel. On page 45, the words of Hashkivenu, we ask, for peace as we lie down, and peace when we rise in the morning. Page 49. Yitgadol v'yitgadash shmei Rabba ve'amra divrach yirtzeh v'yamlich malchutei b'chayim Yidar Vitramal Yidnasei Veitadar Yitalev Yitalal Shmei Kudashal Leila Min Kol Berchata V'Shir Ha'atam Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu Elohei Abraham Elohei Sarah Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Rivka Elohei Yaakov Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor V'Hanorah Baruch atah Adonai, Magid Avraham, Ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor Elam Adonai, V'chai Yaakov atah, Rav L'Shira. V'chalkel Chaim V'chesed, V'chai Yaakov B'rachamim Rabim. Solel Noflim, Rofeh Cholim, Matir Asurim. Umkayim Naton L'Shenei Afar, Michamocha B'Gvulot, U'Midom Melach, Melech B'Mitot Chayei, U'Matzmiach Yeshua, V'Ne'eman Atah L'Chayot Hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, V'Chayei Hakol. Days pass and the years vanish, and we walk sightless among miracles. God, fill our eyes with seeing and our minds with knowing. Let there be moments when your presence, like the softness of moonlight, illumines the darkness in which we walk. Help us to see wherever we gaze that the bush burns unconsumed, and we, clay touched by God, will reach out for holiness and exclaim in wonder, how filled with awe is this place, and we did not know it. Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh. Blessed is the Eternal One, the Holy God. Please be seated. Kavanah for Shabbat. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. May we all live in such a way that this day fulfills its promise. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh ha-Shabbat. Praised are you, Adonai, who sanctifies this day of Shabbat rest. Page 57, the words of the Avodah prayer. Ritzei Adonai Eloheinu We continue with words of modim, words of thanks, on the top of page 60. Emma, would you lead us there in the English?
We faithfully acknowledge, eternal God, that you are our creator and preserver, the rock of our life and our protecting shield. We give thanks to you for our lives which are in your hands, for our souls which are in your keeping, for your wondrous providence and your continuous goodness, which you bestow upon us day by day. Truly, your mercies never fail, and your love and kindness never cease. Therefore do we put our trust in you.
O
God, our Redeemer and Helper, let all who live affirm and praise your name in truth. Eternal God, his name is goodness. We give you thanks for your grace. Middle of page 61, the words of Rav Nachman. Yehi ratzon Adonai milfanecha Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei dorotenu. May it be your will, our God, and God of our ancestors, to remove all wars and bloodshed from our world, and rather to draw great and wondrous peace into the world. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. Rather, all people will come to know and understand the truth, that we have not come into this world for strife and war, hatred or jealousy, anger or bloodshed. We have come into this world to know you. May you be eternally blessed. Therefore be merciful to us and fulfill for us what is written I shall bestow peace upon the earth. You shall lie down untroubled by anyone. Let justice well up like water, and righteousness as a mighty stream. The whole earth shall be filled with knowledge of Adonai, as the water fills the sea. We reach for you, O God, from our quiet places. May we stand still for a brief moment and listen to the rain. Stand still for a brief moment and watch the play of sunlight and shadow on the leaves. For a brief moment, listen to the world. Let us stop the wheels of every day to be aware of Shabbat, find the stillness of the sanctuary which the soul cherished, renew the covenant of our ancient people. We need a quiet space to test the balance of our days, the weight of our own deeds against the heaviness of the world's demands. The balance is precarious. Steady us with your faith. Quiet places and stillness where we will hear our own best impulses speak. Quiet places and stillness from which we will reach out to each other. We will find strength in silence, and with this strength, we will turn once again to your service. Page 63. Shalom Ra, Al Yisrael Amcha, Le'esim Le'olam. Shalom Ra, Al Yisrael Amcha, Le'esim Le'olam. Ki We take a few moments now to pray the words of our own hearts. Page 66. May the one who causes peace to reign in the high heavens cause peace to descend on us, on all Israel, and all the world. Oh, say shalom v'roma. Oh, say shalom aleinu. Me'al kol Yisrael. Amen. We turn to the words of Mishaberach on page 133. So we ask for God's blessing, for healing, for those in our community, for those of our people. We think especially here in our congregation this week of Bridget Hansen, Dennis Hansen, Eleanor Bloom, Joe Tortel, Barry Feynman, Sharon Burr, Bob Ledger, Fran McKay, Jackie Verby, Harvey Friedman, Raymond and Francis Rigby, Eudoro Torres, Consuelo Franco, Shirley Herman, Rick Valentin, Marlene Friedman, Jack Kudlatz, Rebecca Bodeville, Philip Shepard, Carl Katz, Madeline Kitson, Kathy Kitson, Dee Hickey, Lorraine DaCosta, Adela Tsur, Al Lofsky, Evelyn Tyndall, Amanda Schenk, Daniel Black, Jean Elizabeth Pitt, Francis Van Tyne, and Bob Smith. We also gather into our hearts all of those who have been wounded, injured, in body or in spirit, and their families in these devastating times for our brothers and sisters in the land of Israel, and for all those who are suffering around the world. And I invite you to share any names aloud of those whom you are praying for on this Shabbat.
The community of Kahila, Daniel, and Jaffa.
As we pray these words together, we pray that the Holy One will bring them comfort and strength. I invite you to join me as well on page 80. You'll find the words for the bracha that we say each morning. Blessed are you, God, who frees the captive. As we pray for all those who are still remaining as hostages in Gaza. may they return home speedily and soon. Our parsha this week is Lech Lecha. And in this, we have the story of how Avram and Sarai become Avraham and Sarah. And I have a story to share with you, a modern midrash. It's from a book that my friend and colleague, Rabbi Leah Berkowitz, wrote called Maybe It Happened This Way. And this story is called Go Forth and Smash the Idols. Now, we all know that midrash, or many of us do, from the ancient midrashim. This is a little bit more of the story, fleshed out for modern times. When Avram met his wife Sarai, he thought all his prayers were answered. Sarai was unlike anyone Avram had ever met before. She was strong and brave and intelligent and kind. And Sarai thought Avram was special too. He was patient and clever. He wasn't scared of meeting new people or exploring new places. He wasn't afraid to think for himself or to share what he was thinking. More importantly, Avram and Sarai shared a vision for their life together. They wanted to go on adventures to help people and to have a big family. Avram wanted his home to be just as hectic and noisy as his own had been with his two brothers. Sarai was an only child, which she had found too quiet and sometimes lonely. I hope we have a dozen sons just like you, Sarai said to Avram. And Avram replied, I hope we have a dozen daughters just like you. They laughed for a long time. A dozen children sounded ridiculous. Avram and Sarai wanted to start their family right away, but it seemed to be taking longer than they had hoped. Well, maybe this means we should go on our adventures first, said Sarai, and Avram agreed. Avram's father, Terach, was a sculptor. He made statues of all the gods that people prayed to in their hometown. Terach invited his sons' families to travel with him to Haran, stopping to sell god statues along the way. People would buy the god statues, set them up in their homes, and pray to them for blessings, good health and fortune, pleasant harvest, or healthy children. Sometimes people left gifts at the god statues' feet, meat and vegetables, handfuls of grain, even a jug of wine, in case the god statue got hungry or thirsty. So Avram and Sarai loved traveling with their big family. By then they had lots of nieces and nephews and meeting the people who bought the god statues from Terach. But soon they noticed that although most people prayed to the god statues and brought them gifts, they didn't seem to answer. Most people had bad harvests. They were poor and hungry. Some had children who were sick, and others, like Avram and Sarai, worried that they might not be able to have children at all. And when customers came to complain at Terach that the god statues weren't working, Terach told them, you have to pray harder. You have to bring more gifts. Or you might pick up a different statue. Try this one. One day Avram said, Sarai, there has to be another way to help the people. And Sarai agreed, so they set up a tent next to Terach's shop where they offered food and drink to people who were hungry and thirsty, and herbs and ointments for people who were sick or hurt, or simply a place to sit and rest and share their troubles. And when their guests reached for a few coins to thank Sarai and Avram for their hospitality, he would wave them away. No charge, he said. Just give thanks to God for your blessings. Some of the guests asked, which God should I thank? Just God, said Avram, the one who created the world and all its blessings. And where is this God? The guests would ask. Everywhere, said Avram, but this God can't be seen. The guests just shrugged. They looked at him sideways. They didn't understand, and sometimes after Avram told them about the one God, they still went over to Terach's shop to choose a god statue. Avram and Sarai's generosity was actually good for Terach's business. Well, one afternoon, Avram stood at the opening of the tent watching people go in and out of his father's shop. I know it sounds crazy, he said to Sarai, but I believe there's only one God who created the world and hears our prayers and grants blessings. Sarai stood next to him. I don't think that's crazy. But Avram wasn't finished. I don't think that God eats food or drinks wine, or that we can hold God in our hands like a statue. What if God is much bigger than that? At that, Sarai began to cry. She reached into her satchel and pulled out a small statue of a woman with wide hips and a round belly, a goddess statue for fertility. I've been praying every night for us to have a child, said Sarai. I give her food and wine. I bow. I pray with all my heart, and still nothing. Avram put an arm around Sarai, hugging her, trying to comfort her and staring as she cried on his shoulder. And then suddenly, Abraham became angry. He was mad at himself for letting himself be duped, at his father for selling these statues. He was even mad at the real God for not answering his prayers, and so he lifted the statue above his head and threw it at the ground as hard as he could, and it shattered into thousands of pieces. The sun was setting, and Terach had gone back to his tent for supper. Avram and Sarai snuck into the shop where they found a whole rack of statues and smashed them against the ground. They were about to knock down the biggest one when Avram stopped and looked around at the mess they'd made. He was sure that his father would be angry. What are we going to do, he said. What will we tell my father? Wait, said Sarai, I have an idea. She took a big stick and put it in the hands of the largest statue. And then the two of them headed back to their tent. In the morning, Terach's furious yells echoed throughout the camp. Avram and his brothers and their wives rushed in to see what had happened. Who did this? Shouted Terach. Who destroyed my God statues? Avram stepped forward and he pointed at the remaining big God statue. Don't you see, he said, the gods got into a fight, and this one won. Avram knew he should have felt guilty about lying to his father, but weren't the God statues a bigger lie? But Terach was not convinced. That's ridiculous, he shouted. They're statues. They can't talk. They can't fight. They can't do anything. Sarai stepped forward. If that's true, she said, why do we pray for them to them for blessings? Terach fell silent. Sarai had been right. Even if he suspected that one of his children had broken the God statues, he would never admit it. Clean up this mess, he grumbled and stomped out of the shop. Avram's brothers and their wives left, leaving Avram and Sarai alone to pick up the pieces. Only his nephew Lot stayed to help. Carefully, they swept up all of the shards with a broom. It was evening when the three of them left the shop, the setting sun turning the distant mountains into a fiery pink. It's so beautiful, Sarai sighed. And Avram agreed, there must be one God who created all of this. It's too magnificent to come from a statue, or even a bunch of statues. That's who we should ask for blessing, the one who created all of this. It was then that Avram heard a voice, go forth from your homeland, from the place you were born, from your father's house to the land that I will show you. The voice sounded nothing like Avram had ever heard before. It sounded to him like a crash of thunder and like gentle ocean waves and like the beating of Sarai's heart. He turned to Sarai and Lot. Did you hear that? Sarai and Lot stood, nearly frozen behind Avram, unable to speak. Even if they hadn't heard the voice, something powerful was clearly happening to them too. And Avram knew right away that this voice belonged to God, not to a clay statue, not to a God of harvests or healing, but the true one God of everything. This time, God spoke directly to Avram, asking him to do something. For years, the people around Avram and Sarai had been asking the God statues to give them blessings, but the God statues never talked. This time, when Avram heard the words, he tried to steady himself as his whole body shook. He was terrified. If I go with you, if Sarai and I agree to follow you, Avram asked, will you give us your blessing? I will make of you a great nation, God promised. I will make your name great, and you shall be a blessing. What does that mean? Asked Sarai. What does it mean to be a blessing? God's voice was gentle. It means I've chosen you to walk a sacred path with me. Together we can make the world a better place. It means you will go on many adventures and know both great joy and unimaginable challenge. It means there will be new rules to follow and old traditions to break. It means that you will always be a little different from the people around you, so you might be lonely much of the time. It means that sometimes what I ask you to do will be difficult. because it's not what everyone else is doing. Sometimes people will want to fight you when you stand up for what is right. You'll have to learn when to fight and when to walk away and when to make peace even when you don't agree. It means that you will need to go far away from the people you love so that you can help people in every corner of the earth. It means I may not always give you everything you ask for, but I will give you a chance to make a difference. I will give you a chance to heal this broken world. Avram thought this was better than any of the blessings that he and Sarai had asked for. The world needed so much help and so much healing, and the idea of being part of that made him feel less helpless, less angry, and less alone. The God statues couldn't help people, but he and Sarai, with God, could. Sarai took his hand. He knew that she agreed, and someday they would know the blessing of having a child. But for now, they held hands and took that first step forward to follow God, to change the world. We continue down that same path that our ancestors who came before us followed. We try to do our best to change the world. As we pray together on page 149, we rise for the words of Aleinu, as we pray for the day when the world will be one and at peace. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'teit gedula liotzer breshit, asher som chelkenu liachid et shemo, begor aleinu lamlich malchuto, v'anachnu korim, u'mishtachavim u'modim, lifnei melech, malchei hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Shehu notei shamayim v'yosei haaretz, u'shamayim karov ha'shamayim imal, u'shchinatu zo, v'goven meromim, u'Eloheinu Einon, Emet Malkeinu Efesulato, Kakotu v'Torato, v'yadadayum, v'yashivota el levavecha, ki Adonai hu Elohim, b'shamayim imal, ve'al haaretz, mitachat ein od. Please be seated. Page 151. It is up to us to hallow creation, to respond to life with the fullness of our lives. It is up to us to meet the world, to embrace the whole, even as we wrestle with its parts. It is up to us to repair the world and to bind our lives to truth. Therefore, we bend the knee and shake off the stiffness that keeps us from the subtle graces of life and the supple gestures of love. With reverence and thanksgiving, we accept our destiny and set for ourselves the task of redemption. Page 152. Blessed is the match consumed in kindling flame. Blessed is the flame that burns in the heart's secret places. Blessed is the heart with enough strength to stop its beating for honor's sake. Blessed is the match consumed in kindling flame. At this time, our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those of our friends and neighbors, and all those people whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. We're in Shloshim at this time for Gail Valentine, wife of the late John and the beloved mother of Matthew and Grant, and for Ray Wolf, the grandfather of Ben Wolf and Anna Kosovacheva. We recall the names of the following whose yahrzeit occurs this week: Hilda Herman, the mother of Gavin and the grandmother of Mark and Laura; Mo Stober, the father of Marcy Binsky; Cantor Jenny Leigh Eisenstark, my dear friend; Julian Harper, the father of Zach; Dorothy Berman, my aunt; Lydia Andrianoff, sister Francoise Andrianoff and the sister-in-law of Gary Dvorkin; the aunt of Guy, Orit, Tamar, Joshua, Jeremy, and Lisa, and the great aunt of Troy. Max Marcus Hozioski, the father of Leonard Hozios and the uncle of Les, Esther, Jack, and the late David Stock. Reuben Griff, the stepfather of Harriet Kornbluth. Saul Rowan, the father-in-law of Raina and the grandfather of Evan and Lisa. Sarah Nathanson, the mother of Lila Wiersba. Sam Moskowitz, the grandfather of Daniel. Betty Levine, the mother of Alan and the grandmother of Sean, Stacy, and Michael. Alyssa Farber, the grandmother of Noah Farber. Harriet Rich, the mother of Jill. Mamie Englander, the mother of the late Rhonda Weltman and the grandmother of Rabbi Lawrence and Stuart Englander. Ruth Signer, the mother of Glenda Schulman and the grandmother of Holly. And we recall as well these 11 whose fifth yahrzeit occurs this week, those who were murdered at the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh in 2018. Joyce Feinberg, Richard Gottfried, Rose Mallinger, Jerry Rabinowitz, Cecil Rosenthal, David Rosenthal, Bernice Simon, Sylvan Simon, Daniel Stein, Melvin Wax, and Irving Younger. We take all of them into our hearts with our own, all of those who we are mourning that were lost on October 7th in Israel. If you have someone else that you are saying Kaddish for that you would like to share their name out loud at this time, I invite you to do so. We ask those who are mourning to please rise first. As we say, Min hamakom tinachamu, may you find comfort in God's sheltering presence together as a community. We all rise to support those who are mourning and to say Kaddish for those who have no one to say it for them. As we turn to page 159 for the words of the Kaddish prayer. Yitgadal v'yikadash shemei rabbah, be'alma divrach yirteh v'yamlich malchuteh, b'chayachom v'yomechom, uv'chayet chol be'Yisrael, ba'agalav v'zman kariv v'imramen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevarach le'olam olamei maya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach, v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei v'kudasham b'richu, le'elam v'kol birchata v'shirata, tushvachata v'nechemata, damiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, May the source of peace send peace to all those who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved among us, among all of our people Israel, and among all the nations and families of earth. And we say together, Amen. Please be seated. It's my pleasure to call once again Ruth Ostrauer, representing our board, to bring greetings and announcements.
Shabbat Shalom. We begin with a couple of thank yous to Joel Brown, our tech volunteer who keeps us all connected, to Zachary Harper, who was our shamas this evening, and also to the rabbi, who particularly in this very difficult time continues to be the heart of our congregation and keeps us all connected. A number of upcoming services. Tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock is the special community service, so we hope that you can join us for that. Regular Erev Shabbat service next Friday evening, November the 3rd. And on the 4th, our Solel at 50 celebrations continue as we honor our rabbis, our educator, and our staff. Sundays continue to be a busy day. Beit Sefer starting first thing in the morning. At 10:30, Rabbi Pollack is continuing with the Home We Build Together, a conversational group for parents. And at 12:30, she leads the adult text study. And the parents group meets in person, and the adult text study is a hybrid, so you can join us either in person or online. Also happening this weekend, Sunday, October 29th, after Beit Sefer Solel from noon to 2, there's going to be another session of Mention and Monsters. So live lunches provided, and various and sundry Dungeons and Dragons and other adventure games are available for, we hope many will come and participate. Also this week is Arlene begins her book review club. People Love Dead Jews by Dara Horn is the very first book. And we remind everyone that we are continuing with our Living Torah project. We are writing our brand new scroll, which we will be receiving, as it were, come June of next year. But we hope that everyone will think about taking a letter or a word or a phrase, whatever is most appropriate for you, and participating in that exciting initiative. And that would be it. As always, for details, don't forget to check your shamas and the website, Facebook and Instagram. It will always keep you up to date as to what's happening. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you so much, Ruth. It's my pleasure to call upon Joel Brown to lead us in words of Kiddush for Shabbat on page 163. I invite you to rise and to join with him.
Erev, Boker, Yom Hashishi. Now the whole universe, sky, earth, and all their array was completed. With the seventh day, God had ended the work of creation and rested with all work completed. Then God blessed the seventh day and called it holy. For with this day, God had completed the work of creation. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei b'mi hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kishanu mitzvotav v'ratzon banu, b'shabbat kodsho v'ahavah ratzon intivanu, zikaron lema'aseh b'reishit, kilu yom tehillah lemikra kodesh, zecher tziyat Mitzrayim, kivanu v'acharta, v'yotanu kidashta, mikol ha'amim, v'shabbat kodshecha, v'ahavah u'ratzon, inatanu, Baruch atah Adonai, v'kadesh Hashamat.
L'chaim. We wish you a Shabbat of peace and of rest. And if you're here in the sanctuary, we invite you to join us for owning Shabbat in the Kiddush room. We wish all of those joining us online Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.